Welcome to WKRP Montrose, a radio station masquerading as a podcast about Montrose, Colorado and the Western Slope, recording live from the Clear Network studio in downtown Montrose, Colorado. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of WKRP. We're going to take the Montrose off of the name.
Well, that wasn't...
Because you complain too much.
No, that wasn't decided, so we're not...
I think we might have to.
Why?
Because the audience is expanding as much as you don't believe that it is.
The Montrose refers to the subject matter. It refers to the people and...
Do you know how annoying you are when you say it like that?
We're not doing
when you go, the subject matter.
Well, because I'm a little bit more...
Refined?
Yep.
Let's talk about how refined you are. Can you lift your left hand? There you go.
That, okay. It's a simple, stupid story.
Are you, is that...
The other finger works.
Feel, what is it? Peace and prosper? Nanu?
No.
What do you
it's
like?
It's a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Sorry, nanu, you muppet.
Yes. Do you want to tell people how that happened? Real quick before we introduce our guest. We don't have a lot of time. We're not going to waste people's time.
I don't know, saving a child from a burning building or something.
You were. They were falling out of the sky. A swing, air swing.
And I fell off a rope swing.
You fell off a rope swing. That's simple.
That's simple, like Dennis.
But didn't you say your surgeon didn't believe that you did that kind of damage by falling off a rope swing?
He believed me. I think the ER doctor maybe did not. It was early in the morning.
And were you partaking in libations?
Nope.
I feel like maybe you were.
Absolutely not. Move on.
Okay. All right. Well, first and foremost,
speaking of libations, though.
Yeah, let's thank our sponsors.
This is actually a little more difficult than it normally is. Actually need to change hands. And even that's not that easy.
So you guys aren't going to get the ASMR action here, I don't think, because
probably not. I look like a right muppet.
Yeah, you're definitely going to spill that.
Nope.
Why do you always pour yours first?
Oh, that hurt my fingers. Okay, give me a glass.
All right. He's hurt. He's injured, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, that did hurt because
All right.
The finger on my other hand is also fractured. So
although you're injured,
don't
spill it. Did you already spill it?
Yeah. Okay, we have another glass for our guest.
For our guest, who we now need to introduce because
we have none other than the president
of the United States. Welcome,
of Billy Goat Hog Farm. We're not going down that road either, my friend.
All right.
Yeah, Audrey what, Dennis? This is my favorite part of the show.
Gehlhausen.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
All right.
Gehlhausen.
Oh.
Do you have another glass?
Did we get?
Audrey?
It's sitting right
here.
there.
Okay.
It's sitting close to you so that you don't have to work too hard. God forbid that something happens. Are you going to mention who the beer and the sponsor that we need to thank? First of all, hey, Rob, check this out. Watch. After we spill we spill some beer.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Oh,
hey, Rob, check this out. Watch.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, look. Off, on, off, on.
Honestly,
how are you doing that?
Yeah.
Is that magic?
Here we go. Well, hey, Rob.
Don't.
On.
How is that even happening?
Don't.
Near. Far. There we go.
What have I done? Honestly, I didn't think you'd be like this, Audrey. If I'm honest.
Yeah. She's Audrey. You're one of my new favorite guests. First and foremost, Clear Networks. Thank you for your sponsorship. Thank you for the beautiful neon sign behind us. Yeah. But most importantly, thank you for the great connection that you give all of us so that we can watch amazing podcasts like WKRP.
That's
WKRP.
It. Yeah. Other ISPs.
Not Montrose, just WKRP.
Other ISPs are available, but we don't recommend them. So.
Yeah.
And we have no obligation to say that. Clear Networks is the best, clearly.
Can we say that? We can say that. We can say what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are the best.
Okay, so...
who else is the best?
Pomona.
Yeah.
Pomona Brewing, obviously.
And what kind of delicious tastiness do we have?
Squeezy peasy hazy IPA. Ties in very nicely with our guest because this beer, as almost every beer at Pomona, because I spoke to Kevin, uses Chris and Audrey's hops.
All right.
The only one that currently does not, I think, is the Czech Pils, because Kevin's a bit of a purist, and I think he only uses
Yeah, I
check
think
hops or
he gets a
something
lot
like
of Magnum
Yeah.
hops from us. That's a bittering, so that goes in early in the boil, and that adds that IBUs and that like bittering flavor.
Yeah.
So every beer kind of starts with different bittering hops, and then you add different dual purpose or aromatic hops to bring out lots of different things.
So should we talk about Billy Goat Farms? Billy Goat Hop Farm.
I knew you'd mess it up. Yeah.
I got the name right. I mean, I got your name right.
Yeah, you got
So,
enough name, right?
Well, yes, that
lot of
does
words.
segue very nicely into. I am particularly interested in the origin story of Billy Goat.
Well,
Partly because I feel like I played a small but not
Yeah,
significant role in this.
that's the only reason.
Audrey may not remember. I'm sure she's going to pretend she does. But
Audrey, don't. We'll come back to his moment of glory in delivering you and all of your magnificentness to Montrose.
I'm not taking responsibility for everything.
But before we do that, can we acknowledge the fact? Okay, so 32 acres of trellised hop farm here in Montrose.
Yep.
With 9 different variations of hops.
You know, there's a lot going on there.
Okay. Tell me what I got wrong.
Well, you didn't. It's not necessarily wrong, just outdated. So the hop industry is an ever-evolving industry that is in a really interesting place right now, big picture, and industry-wide and small-scale farms. And it is not the place to be. It's not the industry you want to be in right now.
You don't want to be in the hops industry right now.
No, sir, you don't. It's a terrible industry to be in right now. For example, when we started the farm in 2017, there was over 250 acres of hops in the state of Colorado, and we are now the sole farm in the state standing. We have 32 acres of trellis. We're growing 22 acres of that this year with 7 varieties.
This is a beautiful farm. I'm showing a picture from your website right now
It
that
is
shows
gorgeous.
it's
But
absolutely
all right,
amazing.
Just for people who don't know what hops are,
Okay.
The hop farm is on the way to Ridgeway. And
Yeah.
it's on the left as you leave Montrose. So if you've ever seen the farm and not really realized what it was, that's what it is. It's right next to the highway.
Some people call it a pole farm.
Yeah, right.
We have a lot of poles sitting
Well,
there.
especially when there are no hops growing.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a field full of poles.
Yep, lots of poles. We had all kinds of questions when we were
Right.
building the farm. People would stop on the highway all the time and yell at us, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And we had lots of fun answers. You know, it was an art project from the county, and we were going to move all the poles in a month. We were going to put a big net over it and make an aviary.
Okay.
Oprah Winfrey was building a new house, and this was the foundation because she wanted it higher. We had an old fella stop by and ask when the dancers were coming.
Oh.
Yeah, so we had a
What, like-
lot of fun with that.
They have like lumberjack dancers, though.
Yeah, they had to wear Kevlar suits.
You'd have to, with poles like
That's
that.
part
but-
of the story, yeah.
So for those who don't know, that's where you are, just down the street from Le New Dubois Winery.
That's right.
But
Yep.
Do you ever get do people ever confuse the hops farm with the winery?
Yeah, they do.
Is that
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because I have had people like I've tried to describe your farm and they're like, "Oh, the winery," and I'm like, "No, it's a hops farm." It's so, but
Yeah, we get that.
okay, but that does happen.
Yep.
So
it does happen.
2017. I want to go back to the beginning of
Yeah.
your kind of story in Montrose. So do you remember us meeting before you even moved here?
Say no.
At the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Well, it was at Horsefly, and I remember meeting you and Chris, and I
Yeah.
recall you were on a bit of a tour.
Yes.
Right, looking
Yes.
for a place to set up a hop
Yes.
farm. So, at what point in the discovery process were you when you came to Montrose? Where else did you go afterwards, and then decide Montrose was the place?
Montrose was actually the last place that we came. So we went after we decided to start a hop farm in the first place, which took a couple years. And Chris did a year-long internship at a big 800-acre farm in southern Idaho. So did all that, decided to start it. Then we did a 3-month road trip to 5 different states. And we stopped at,
Who do we beat? Yeah, who do we beat out?
Northern California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana.
Yeah, I mean,
County Colorado,
obviously.
I guess we went to 6 total. We met with different real estate agents in different areas, other hop farms, other breweries, distribution companies, pelletizing, processing plants for hops, obviously. And we looked at a bunch of different stuff, and this was the last place we looked. And
That was it.
This is it.
Where else in Colorado? Did you consider anywhere else?
Not in Colorado.
No.
No, because Montrose is the best.
Yeah.
Like, why would you?
Where else would you go?
Why would you ask such a silly question?
Apparently. Apparently that's the case. But so 2017.
Yeah. Yep.
It was. I mean, it seemed. Why hops for a start? Because it seems it's a pretty niche industry to begin with. I think, right?
It is. Yeah. It's a really interesting industry. It's super. The plant itself is super cool. If you've not seen him or stopped in at the farm, please do. We're open to the public now on different days, and it's a super cool plant. But so we spent. Chris is originally from Connecticut. I'm from Southern Indiana, and then we met on a chairlift in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, skiing. Okay. And we spent another 6 years together, but total each of us were probably out. Screwing around for 10 years, river guiding, ski bumming, waiting tables. Chris did different stuff with golf course maintenance, landscaping, played with plants a lot. Yeah. My degree was in geology, but I mostly talked about rocks on the river. And we traveled a lot. We had climbed. We had a ton of fun. At some point, I was like, all right, I'm tired of finding a job every 4 months and new place to live and a van, you know. Yeah. And so Chris had always wanted to own his own business, and I was like, sure, why not? And we talked about all different kinds of things. A restaurant. We loved craft beer. We talked about a brewery, a landscaping company, an Airbnb. And we were also, at that time, we were living in the Tetons in Victor, Idaho. And Chris was working at Grand Teton Brewing. I was working at Wildlife Brewing up there. And this was in 2015, and there was a shortage of hops at the time. And so prices were going up. The craft beer industry was still expanding exponentially. Yeah. And that's what sort of triggered it. Chris was like, hey, like, this is cool. We liked being outside, you know, working outside. And we were used to kind of seasonal lifestyle that it seemed like farming could give. We liked the craft beer industry in general. The people that we had met in it were all like down to earth, cool folks that, you know.
So was that a factor though, that you knew that if you opened a hop farm, you'd be working with those people in some capacity, and you're like, we like craft beer people. It would be good to do business with them.
Totally, yeah. It was a community of people that we mostly enjoyed. Everybody in it, you know, had a lot of similar like minds. A lot of craft beer drinkers. Care about like conservation, public lands, recreating outside, just had a lot of similar values, small businesses, supporting local, with those type of people. And, you know, and then on top of that, there's delicious beverages. So it's like win-win.
They do kind of go hand in hand. Like when you're out doing the things that you do in Colorado.
Yeah, in the sunshine.
Yeah, beer usually finds its way into that conversation somewhere.
They do.
And the craft beer
or some sort of delicious, you know, for those of you that like non-alcoholic beer as well. Like, you know.
I mean, that's a growing industry too. That I mean, I'm sure they use a lot of hops in, you know, non-alcoholic beers, right? You can put them in.
Yeah. There are hot. Yep. Absolutely.
That seems to be growing. Just, I mean, but while we're on that though, tell us a little bit about why. Currently, we'll go back and we'll talk about your growth right now. But what's going on that it's not the best industry to be involved in right now?
Well, so right from that time until now, the craft beer scene is no longer expanding exponentially. Right. It's declining a bit, and in the time that it started making that change, the hop industry, which is its own kind of unique little bubble. 99% of all the hops in the U.S. are going to Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And within that, there's 3 main companies that own almost half of that product in the U.S. And so there's definitely a few companies that are running the show on everything. And they, not to go too far in that hole, but they're making a lot of decisions that affect everybody.
Well, they have a monopoly, right?
They have a monopoly, yes. And then you throw proprietary hops in there, and it's a whole nother world. But what happened was they continued to have acreage growing
Right.
In the hop world, even though the beer world's declining. They didn't accept that this is happening. So now there is an oversupply of hops.
Right. They flooded the market.
They totally flooded the market. Prices are just peanuts, even for the big guys, not just like for us.
But they can survive.
They can, and they are, but it's also, there's something like over 20,000 acres of hops are being taken out of the Pacific Northwest. It's no small number. Like these big guys who were expanding with the craft beer industry, they're taking loans out to pay for this $1 million equipment. Right. And now all of a sudden that was set for 1,000 acres. And now they're dropped back to 700 acres. Right. Well, now this equipment that they have is not the right capacity. Right. And then, they do have the ability to survive much easier than a small farm. They have their fingers in multiple things, and they have a lot of different ways they can move things around. And even within the big companies, there's ones that are in with, like I mentioned, those main distribution companies. There's ones that aren't, and they're getting affected differently. Yeah. And so that's the big scale. Then you drop to our scale, and it's just... It's hard. It's hard without the industry being where it is. It's a lot of labor, a lot of infrastructure. The processing equipment is you would be shocked at how much equipment you have to fully process hops to get to a point that you can sell to breweries. So having that, maintaining that, the electricity.
Yeah. Well, a few years ago, when you started, you didn't have the pelletization machines, right?
We actually did have that from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of important, right? That's where you can get to that final product and you can actually have a bag of hops.
And so you have to be able to pelletize your product. Right. And so you can ship it off to the Pacific Northwest, have them pelletize it and ship back. But
that's
then
extra,
you're not going to be able to pay for that.
Yeah. Price goes through the roof. And let's back up for a second. So what does it take to make sure that a farm your size survives? Can it survive alone on like Colorado local breweries that might be interested in making sure that their product comes from Colorado?
I don't know. It's a tough world, and it could, right? You could, but we don't sell out. I don't know how to sell it any better. Mm-hmm. We honestly, there's not that many Colorado breweries big picture that support us. Now we're drinking beer with my hops right now. I've got more beer I brought next to me with our hops. There is, lots of amazing, incredible breweries out there that do support us.
But you could be supported more.
We definitely could be supported more.
Okay.
I've got a cooler full of stuff that I'm trying to get rid of.
So that's another thing we didn't talk about. You've got cold storage that you can actually hold the hops.
Absolutely.
For an order for up to a period of time.
Yep, absolutely.
Which is a cool service that you have, I guess. I don't know if every farm has that
or
that ability.
Have to.
Or do you have to?
Yeah. If you're a smaller farm, you have to have cold storage. Otherwise, any farm has to have cold storage. But
are your prices higher? Do they have to be?
They are a bit higher.
Smaller?
Yeah, they definitely have to be.
Do you think, is that part of the reason why maybe some breweries are like, well, we can get it cheaper somewhere else?
I'm sure some breweries do. Yeah. I think there's a few reasons. One, you can go to these bigger brokerage companies. You can buy any variety of hop you want. You can buy your malt. You can buy your cleaning solution. You can buy your aluminum cans. And it comes on one pallet, one truckload, one invoice. You just go on the website, click, credit card, and it's done. Yeah. It's easy. Now you throw us into the mix. Well, we can't provide you with all of the hops you need. So now you have to buy some from us, but you still have to go buy the other ones somewhere else.
Yeah, God forbid you have to have 2 invoices.
Right.
It really isn't that difficult. If you want to support a local company,
a regional local business,
get your HR or get the finance department to drum up another invoice.
It's true. And they're also small businesses that we're selling to. So we're selling business to business, which is the hardest platform to sell in. Yeah. They're watching their pennies. That's one part. Another part is proprietary hops. So you maybe have heard of Mosaic, Citra, Simcoe, Amarillo. These are all very popular hops out right now. You see them on beer cans, whatever. Mm-hmm. Those are all bred and owned by big companies. So they have marketing power behind them. They have representatives that are going to all these breweries, that are pushing them, and that are helping them create recipes for specific beers around their hops. So they're taking some of the legwork out for the brewers, which is helpful. And so they say, hey, do this and this, and you got a great hazy, or whatever. You got a great West Coast, and they do it, and like, oh yeah, that worked. That's great, easy. Done. Now I'm using this hop, and the consumer is starting to learn these words. Yeah. And like, oh, this has Citra in it. It's going to be good. And you know what? It's going to be good. And so you get it.
Here's the thing, though. But those brewers, without calling anybody out in particular, if you have a big corporate company coming in and saying, hey, here's a recipe, and here's how you do it, are they even brewing beer anymore? You know,
you have this massive explosion of breweries that happen, right, during this craft beer thing. And you have a lot of folks who are home brewers, who their cousin and their neighbor are like, hey, that's good. You should open a brewery. And they do.
People do it with restaurants. People do it with all kinds of stuff.
Do.
Don't do it. Don't listen to those people.
Hold on a second.
No. So many people open restaurants and breweries and don't know what they're doing because their neighbor said they're the best beer they've ever tasted.
Well, how do you think that Kevin and Chelsea got started?
They didn't open a business because one person stroked their ego.
Several people started stroking their ego and telling them
that is exactly what they did. But that doesn't mean that they don't actually know how to brew beer.
That's correct.
There's a lot of people that do it that do know how to brew beer, but there's a lot that don't. Right. And so it makes their life easier. Even if they know how to brew some good beers, if you have somebody come in, it helps. And the other thing you have to remember is it's not, I'm painting them as this big nasty corporation of hop.
Are we talking about
brokerage.
like, can we call them out by name? Is it like InBev? Is that what we're talking about?
No, we're talking about Yakima Chief, Haas, BSG.
So these aren't the beer companies themselves.
No. These are the hop companies. That's right. That's exactly right.
I don't want to.
Yeah, you guys didn't know you were going to get an entire history.
Okay.
My last point of why this is happening outside of the proprietary hop takeover is that the consumer doesn't know, and it's not their fault, because before I started a hop farm, I sure as heck didn't know. That you go to buy a beer and you're like, hey, I'm supporting a local business, a small, town business, and I'm gonna drink a good, delicious beer. So good job, Audrey. But you don't think, where do the hops come from? Where does the malt come from? Where does the yeast come from? And so there's no pressure on the brewery to support local from their consumer. So the only reason that brewers do it is because they personally care.
Well,
and that's what's tough.
The restaurant industry you could look at it in a similar way, right? You could go to a local restaurant that employs, kids from high school, and the owner and stuff like that. But if there's a big Cisco truck outside and it's bringing stuff in, they're not buying local meat and local produce. Again, you don't necessarily know, but in the restaurant industry, it's now commonplace for menus to say,
it is.
The meat is from down the street, this from this farm.
And beer farm to table is popular to say. But.
Well, maybe hop to glass should be a thing.
And it's more than it was 10 years ago, for sure. It just hasn't.
Yeah.
It's just not there yet, and it's a tough thing. Like it's such a niche market.
Yeah.
To do that. It all makes sense.
I want to talk about not the things you can't do or the hops you don't grow or whatever, but what do you grow? What are the most popular ones that you can grow that are not proprietary?
Yeah.
That are utilized by Pomona? And then where else can people drink, quote unquote, your hops?
Yeah. So we have, the hops we're growing this year. We got Cascade, and that's our like mind-blowingly shocking, award-winning hop. So Cascade is a public variety. Anybody can grow it. Okay. For decades, it was the most acreage grown in the U.S. was Cascade. And so just a very traditional classic hop. And there's a group called the Hop Quality Group that is a nationwide organization of beer nerds that talk about all kinds of nerdy things with hop. Mm-hmm. And they started this award called the Cascade Cup.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to. I'm glad you brought it up. God, just carry on.
Yeah.
So I don't have to.
And
pat yourself on the back.
That's me tooting my own horn there. You'll
How many
hear.
times have you won it?
We won it 2 times.
Back to back.
Consecutively.
Back to back.
Back to back.
We were the first farm ever to win outside of Washington or Oregon. Idaho is yet to win. And then
Suck it, Idaho.
suck it is right. Yep.
I'm going to attack the entire state of Idaho.
Yeah. And then we were the first farm ever to win it back to back. This little nobody peon farm. In the scene.
Double champs.
Yep.
You beat the entire state of Idaho.
And also there are applicants from around the world. So, I mean, really for 2 years, we had the best cascade hops in the world.
Yeah.
And that's like a little bit of a stretch, sure, but like not like a huge stretch, just like a little bit.
We don't have to say it. We'll just say it.
Well, yeah.
The best in the world, right here in
in
Montrose, Colorado.
In Montrose, Colorado,
you can only beat the competition that's put in front of you.
That's right.
And you beat them all twice.
We did.
Suck it.
And look at nobody.
Yeah, suck it.
Nobody's gonna mess with somebody who wields a machete like you do. I gotta bring this photo up and show people.
This is what we call the segue segment.
We do a lot of macheting.
Dennis just talks about
because
something that's completely off topic. Go on.
Yeah. Well, hey. Listen, some people want to know other things. That's all I'm saying. And this photo caught me off guard. You guys are standing in the field. Chris looks like a farmer.
Yeah.
You look like you're about to go on like an Amazonian, detour somewhere through there. Look at the size of that knife.
Stuff. Yeah.
Let me bring that in a little closer.
That's not
look at
a
this.
Knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
That's not an Australian accent that you just did, but still, carry on.
Well, I mean, I can do it better than the Jersey guy did.
No, that's not funny. Carry on.
But why that shot? Why was that the shot chosen? I'm just curious. Because I have a follow-up question that I'm going to ask if they go hand in hand.
When we harvest, every single plant is hand macheted at the bottom and then hand macheted at the top. And that photo was taken during harvest.
Okay.
And so it was like, we got a bunch of machetes out. I'm going to take one for the photo. And Chris was like, I'm going to take a shovel. And that's what we did.
So there's something that I didn't expect to come out of there. So you don't actually it's not a mechanical process to go harvest the field. You're actually having to go out there and cut it down.
Yep.
32 acres by hand.
Yep. And in May, you hand string it. So we'll hand tie 60,000 strings to wire 18 feet in the air and then clip it into the plant and then hand wrap 5 to 6 binds around every string.
Wow.
And then at harvest, you hand cut the bottom and top of every one.
Does that require like therapy after the fact? Do you need
you just need therapy all the time. But it's handy because therapy comes in a glass.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
like Homer Simpson said,
every night.
Alcohol is the cause of and the solution to all of life's problems.
Yeah.
But is that a process that could be kind of mechanized? Is that something you want to do, or because I mean it's not necessarily something that affects, or is it, the quality of the hop?
It does not affect the quality of the hops, and I would love to have a cutter. Big farms definitely do not do it by hand.
Yeah.
They have a cutter that goes on like a big truck that cuts the bottom and the top at the same time.
Right.
More or less. And then it falls in the back of kind of like a dump truck type thing.
How much do those things cost?
Oh, a lot.
That's sick.
Yeah.
There you
Yep.
go. That's without knowing the amount, we know the amount.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to, you talked about the big farms and, there's diversification, right? They can provide all the things that people need.
Yep.
You guys have diversified a little since you've opened for sure. And you have even more diversified more recently.
Yeah.
Right. So, how many years have you been having the festival, firstly?
That was a horrible way to launch that question. Do you want to start over? Just talk about the Southwest Fresh Fest.
I'm going to let Audrey talk about it.
Okay, all right. Gee whiz, hype it up a little bit, man.
We are going into our 9th summer of being a hop farm, 9 years of growing hops. Wow. And this summer will be our 4th summer for the Southwest Fresh Fest and our first summer for camping and Fridays on the farm.
Okay.
And so that is a way that I'm excited about, that I think that we can move forward, like to keep the hop farm surviving through like these hard times, because it's going to pendulum back, right? The industry's going to come back. And it's really, agritourism is super cool. No matter what kind of industry within ag, it's fun to go out on a farm. It also happens to be fun to drink beer on a farm and listen to music and dance on a farm. It's all like fun, and it's like a little educational too. Yeah. Bring the kids out, bring the dogs out.
You know what? It's even fun when it rains quite a bit.
And then you're covered in mud, and it's like the wind is blowing in your face. And
was that last year or the year before?
Oh no, 2 out of 3 years. Our first year and our third year.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, this past year was hands down like torrential, pouring sideways wind. It was insane. Yeah. And what was shocking is the number of people that came.
Just
powered
through.
I know that you guys,
right
I know that it's obvious that you guys have been friends and been together for a long time, but just for the viewing and listening audience, there's a lot of things that are getting skipped over here.
Go on, man.
So the festival starts when? In September, right? What are the dates?
Yep. So it's September 20th this year.
Okay.
It's one day, but it's the Fresh Hop Festival, Southwest Fresh Fest. But what it is it's celebrating harvest. We start harvesting in kind of early mid-August, and it usually ends early September. And there's like during it, you can have a fresh hop beer, and what that means is the hop goes straight off the vine and into the brew within 24 hours. So otherwise, the hop is dried, baled, and then eventually pelletized. But during this process, it's never dried. It goes straight into a bag, straight into a beer. And so you obviously can only make this at harvest time.
Okay.
And it's a direct correlation between beer and ag. And it's like fresh. It's very aromatic. It's best drink like right away. It's super cool. And so we started a festival. And at this festival, like last year, we had 15 different breweries come. And they each brought a fresh hop beer. You have to have a fresh hop beer, and then another seasonal beer. And so then, all the festival goers, you get a little taster glass, and you can go around and taste as many or all of them as you want. And we have a couple live bands. I do a farm tour partway through if anybody wants to go on that. Lots of yard games, local food trucks.
So just a genuine good time for a day on the farm.
Yep, that's right.
But then we also have Fridays on the farm.
Yes.
So this is something different.
This is new.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit. Well, tell us about Fridays on the farm, and then I have to have a little nod because you have a Fridays on the farm movie night that I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah.
So, but go ahead and tell us more about Fridays on the farm.
So Fridays on the farm is every Friday from now until October 3rd, from 4 to 9 p.m. And it's at the farm. And we have different beers with our hops in them that are not necessarily from Montrose to bring in different stuff into the area. But there are other small breweries who obviously support us, and we're supporting them back. And so you can, try different beers while you're there. And then we have a food truck every time. It's rotating. It changes out. We have a ton of yard games.
Got
Chris
some
put
music.
in tetherball. I don't know when the last time you played tetherball was, but let me tell you.
I want to play tetherball with Rob.
It's the best. Yes, that should be a podcast in itself. You two should come play tetherball.
It's the game where Dennis doesn't have to move. What a surprise.
It's a game where I get to bash Rob with a volleyball.
Enough, I've heard a lot of stories about broken fingers recently.
I'm
and
sure.
Somebody said to me, I broke my fingers playing tetherball, so that's out for me.
Yeah.
So I was just showing the calendar, and I was showing all the posters because you've got music events coming up, you've got other things going on, but you happen to be doing a movie night. It's August 15th.
I'm very excited.
And I'll play a little, let you guys guess who's going to be, what the movie's going to be.
Try and experience what I'm about to chirp in your lobes, okay, cool? Today, buddy, we're going to discuss grindage.
That makes sense.
So that's not the appropriate movie that is going to be playing, but it is the appropriate actor.
Right.
So
if you've met Chris or Audrey before, I feel like nobody should be surprised that you're showing a Pauly Shore movie.
Yeah, no, that scene isn't in the movie.
No, that's from Encino Man, but you're playing son-in-law.
That's funny because he uses grindage.
Yeah. He totally does the grindage. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
In the weasel. Yep.
Yep. So Valley Food Partnership is a local organization in town that helps with beginning farmers and just ag in general. They're a super awesome organization. And so we're teaming up with them. And we picked son-in-law because it's about this hippy-dippy California kid that goes to a farm, and it's hilarious. And I mean, I haven't thought about Pauly Shore in like 10 years, but when I did, I laughed. And it's like, why would you?
He's kind of making a comeback in socials.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They'll let any idiots do a
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No need for standards there.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
We're going to play the movie, but then even more exciting is it's a drink or donate. So every time Pauly Shore says one of his dumb little like noises like, ha, ha, then Food Valley is going to ring a cowbell and you can either drink or donate. So there's going to be cups around and you can like exchange to get $1 bills. And so then you have to like run up and put your dollar in the donate or take a drink or both.
That's fantastic. You're doing a drinking game on the farm with a great movie.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We're very excited.
It's an important thing for you, though, right? It's going to be really fun, but it's important for you to diversify to get through these kind of tougher times.
It is.
But it's also great. I mean, I saw a picture on Facebook of Kevin and Chelsea were there.
Yeah.
Last Friday. They
totally.
came down. So you know, you supply those guys. They support you, and it's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Where else can we drink your hops in Montrose?
Pretty much all of them. Colorado Boy, they've changed recipes and moved things around. We're in pretty much every beer on the menu, which is awesome. Horsefly supports us. Shelter supports us.
Great.
We haven't actually worked with Silver Basin in a little while. We have a few years ago. I should reach back out.
What about Telluride Brewing? I mean, who do we need to call out to be like, hey, come on.
Telluride Brewing does not support us.
Okay.
And you know, they do.
Hey guys.
I know I talk a lot of smack about Telluride, but
now you can talk more.
You can redeem yourself if you come and support our local.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I will, having said that, say that that's one brewery, and they do a lot of retail, which the profit margins on retail is crap. Yeah. But Stronghouse Brewery, which is in Telluride, is phenomenal, and we're in easily half or 3/4 of all their beers.
Right.
And they're wonderful to work with, and they have great beer and great food.
What's the dream?
Dream.
What if you could get a contract with somebody bigger, like Scar Brewing? Do you work with those guys?
We don't.
Because they just got sold. So maybe now's the time to reach out to them.
They did.
They got bought, but
But you are in some breweries in Durango, right?
We're in Carver's. Oddly enough, Durango has been hard to get into.
Okay.
We just 2 or 3 years ago got into Carver's, and now they've been great. They're even putting some more beers out that they're calling regenerative, and so it's.
Whoa, excuse me, that was me burping into the mic. I apologize.
It wasn't me stuttering.
Yeah.
He's an animal.
I'm a beast. I apologize.
Is your glass empty yet?
It's almost empty. Yeah, because somebody over there broke his fingers and can't pour anymore.
In a minute, we're going to get onto what Audrey brought. So.
Yeah,
there we go.
One of them, but this regenerative beer is made with all ingredients from farms that use regenerative practices.
Okay,
which is super cool. Cortez,
Billy Goat is one of.
Yes, we're one of.
Okay.
Yes. We're one of them.
I want to make sure we don't miss the important parts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We do regenerative farming. And Wild Edge is in Cortez, and they're a super cool brewery. They do all kinds of unique stuff, change it up all the time. They support us. They're awesome. And then if you go north, Grand Junction, Base Camp.
Base Camp is awesome. By the way, if you haven't been, I know we're not supposed to give props to other communities, Rob, and especially not the ones in Grand Junction.
Well, you're not.
But if you get a chance to go to the brewery there is pretty awesome.
They get a pass today.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They're supporting Montrose, so we can support.
I didn't call out the fact that you're just, you've decided to go off on your own tangent and you're promoting products, that we haven't. I know they were a guest on the show and everything. But you're just randomly throwing in your own product placements.
Tell to Event Services, Eric Carroll, friend of the show.
Yeah.
What's that you've got on?
Is it?
What's that?
Well, this is a golf brand. It doesn't matter. Nobody can see it anyway. But they can read Tail 2. And they're an event. So does Tail 2 do any events out at the farm? Are you guys a Harvest Host? Do you know about Harvest Host?
I do. We have signed up. I haven't had anybody directly through it because the thing is you have to sign up. The point is that you buy something, and so we're really only have stuff for sale on Fridays.
Right.
We can sell things, and we do sell things to the campers that come, but it's more to we're not just open. It's I can't just be open all the time. But they'll message and hey, could we get some beer in 20 minutes for and I'll go pour my beer or whatever. But if it's Harvest Host, then we have to make money. We have to sell beer. Sometimes I can't do it.
Right.
So we're open for Fridays.
Have you thought about any partnerships with Campers Hub? That You know the guys at Campers Hub, Scott and Taylor?
I don't know them. I've heard of it.
You
We
should.
swung by.
I mean, they're across the street.
Like
Yeah,
I
but
feel
how
like
do
I feel
we-
like farm tours is
I can
like
connect you for
yeah.
start. I don't know what that would look like, but
Yeah.
they're doing great stuff here.
Yeah.
And there's definitely an area of crossover with you guys. So
Yeah.
I feel like
talk
it's
to those
hip,
guys.
fun. Like there should
Yeah.
be some crossover there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're
I like
drinking
it.
something
what
something
are we-
different. What are we
what did
drinking?
you-
Yeah,
Bring.
okay, I brought
It's
two.
in a mason
One-
jar.
It came from a
It
farm.
looks like a giant sample that you should be taking to a hospital. Not
It does.
Am I gonna
I'm a little
pass?
bit concerned
So
about
this
like
is I brought. Well, you guys have cups too.
Yeah.
This is from Crystal Springs Brewery in Lafayette, which is a bit north of Denver. Again, supporting people who support Montrose.
Yep.
And this is their blood orange Kolsch.
Okay.
And
Well, that sounds
this
good.
is on tap.
here. I'll
at
come to
the
you
hot
so you don't have to
farm.
take your headphones off.
And we sell beers to go in mason jars, just like this one, except it would be full. I was running late and I ran out the door, and this is what happened.
I actually have a favorite brewery in Lafayette. I've not tried them all, but I really like the beers from Odd 13. Do you know those guys?
I do know Odd 13.
I quite like their can art. Actually, is ridiculous.
And they had a beer. What was it? They used to do a beer with us back years ago, and then they actually are now owned by Four Noses, which also makes I can move, I can do things.
Yeah. Look at
me. Oh, look at
she's
this.
got skills, man. She knew to move the mic and everything. She was ready.
Things. Look at this cool mug here,
Yeah.
Pomona mug.
Pomona mug.
Yep.
That only the mug club people have if you're a part of the Pomona mug club.
That's why Dennis doesn't have one, because he is a mug, but he's not a mug club member.
Nobody heard that because you weren't anywhere close to the mic. So
Doesn't have one
no,
because he's
it's
a
too
mug,
late. Too
but
late.
he's not a mug club
Too
member.
late.
Okay,
Nobody
remind
cares.
me, what is this? Blood orange Kolsch?
Yeah, it is. I think
wow, that
the
smells amazing.
quintessential of like a hot summer day. It's very light, very refreshing. The blood orange definitely comes through. So if you're not a big fruity fan, this isn't.
What was
for
the
you.
name of the brewery again? Sorry.
Crystal Springs.
Okay.
In
so
Lafayette.
In
I
Lafayette.
like this might lead to something new for WKRP Montrose, because
that?
I really like the idea that we can support, and as a community, maybe we should support other communities and businesses. that
Sister
support
cities.
Us. So sister businesses, sister
Yeah.
cities.
Yeah.
If Crystal Springs Brewing supports Billy Goat, I'm good with it.
Yeah. You're good with Lafayette and Crystal Springs.
Well, Crystal Springs.
With Crystal Springs, yeah.
But I mean, I'm always going to go to Pomona, but
Yeah.
I love Montrose and the beer we have. But if you're going to drink something, I mean, maybe we have a list. Maybe we come up with a list of
Yeah.
Well, there is a list on your website.
no, but
right?
of all reciprocal businesses that
Oh.
help Pomona, that help Billy Goat, that help Shelter.
That's a
that
good
help-
idea.
I think it is a really cool idea because when you started the business, you meet people, brewers or whatever, and you never know where it's going to go and who's going to be what. And it's been really cool meeting all these different people over the years and creating relationships and seeing who really cares, and their support for us genuinely matters. It not just a financial, but like a moral level, having their positive energy, their feedback. And so part of when we decided to do Fridays on the Farm was we want to give a shout out to these other breweries who
Right.
they don't have to use us. They're not making more money because they choose to use it. They're doing it because they want to.
Right.
And that's really cool.
And like you said, ag tourism is a big thing. It's growing, and so if we're going to go on these trips, we might as well go trip to other cities that support the,
Right.
the town that we live in.
All right, we love Montrose. I
yeah.
love living here,
Yeah.
but occasionally I leave town.
Yep.
I would love to know in other parts of the state and other parts of the country, if I happen to be going to a place and somebody says, "Oh, Crystal Springs Brewing supports Billy Goat," I'm like, I'm going to go there instead of the guys
I agree.
next
I
door.
think it's super cool because we have a couple breweries in North Carolina, in Massachusetts, in Indiana, and same. You go there like, oh, these are hops from where I live, or the
Right.
or the whatever the I can't think of another guy's name right now.
No, but I mean, it's like Typhoon Farmer, right?
Yes,
like
there we go.
farms, products, things that are made in Montrose and appreciated elsewhere.
Yes.
Alpen Confections. I mean, you can buy their stuff in Crested Butte. I think you can buy it in Aspen
Aspen,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. Support you. Actually, it's an interesting concept. You can support local businesses. Actually,
By supporting it somewhere
you can
else.
support a Montrose
Yeah.
business in North Carolina,
Yeah.
which is frankly, I've not heard of that as a concept before.
It's really cool.
This is groundbreaking stuff from WKRP Montrose.
That's right. You
Audrey,
heard it
move your
first
mic.
here.
Move your mic a little closer back to where it was, so we
Sorry.
can hear you again.
And I'm probably going to start yelling more the more I drink.
That's okay.
so
Well, I'll turn you down. We'll
Turn
leave
me
the mic
down.
where it is, and I'll turn you
You know
down.
what? So people, can we find all of these companies that support you guys on the website, or is that something
You know,
you're
actually,
working on?
it's something I'm working on.
There you go.
There I am. Yeah.
Okay,
I've got
get
a
it.
lot of spots on that website.
Get a jail card there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
This is delicious, actually, I will say. And I'm looking up, and their can art is pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
It's actually the blood orange culture is front and center on Crystal Springs.
It is their, like, they make other good beers as well, but this is definitely their, like,
one of their flagships.
Totally.
So can we talk about your fur babies for a second?
Oh, I got some fur babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do
His name's Chris.
that probably counts, right? He looks a little furry
Yeah.
in his
He's the
photos.
biggest baby of them all, I'll tell you that.
Etouffee
Etouffee.
and Mr. Gritsface.
And Mr. Gritsface.
That,
So
like-
I'll just back up one second. We had our first dog was the most amazing dog ever, as your first one always is. Was Gumbo Yaya Gatorbait Pandemic was his name. Got him in the pandemic. His name was Gumbo, and he was Catahoula. Awesome. So it's sort of so Catahoula is a Louisiana state dog, Louisiana. So and we love New Orleans.
Gumbo is a dish that you're going to mostly find in, as is etouffee, as are grits.
Yeah, and so that's how it started with Gumbo.
Okay.
But then we have Gumbo Yaya, which is the CPR.
Yes, which we love
station,
Friday.
right? Yeah.
Yep. We love Zydeco. So started this trend.
Did you just call out another radio station and give them props for a program
CPR.
they have going?
Unfortunately, they might
Colorado
not be around,
Public
they
Radio?
might not be around very long.
Yeah.
Let's not go down that road.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you have an affinity for some things Cajun.
Yes, and it kind of just happened. And so then there was Etouffee. We call her Faya because that's easier.
Yeah.
And then Grits. We call him Mr. Grits Face, Grits Boo, whatever. But they're both two wild farm dogs who.
I'll put a picture of you with the two dogs up here.
Oh yeah, they're the best. If you ever come to the farm, you will meet them.
Yeah.
Because they just run around.
That's their domain.
It is their domain.
Right.
Starting the campground and Fridays on the farm, like the hardest part has been them. Like you can't just jump in anybody's car. I had a guest like tell me, "Oh, Grits crawled in the tent and snuggled with me for 2 hours this morning." I'm like,
No.
"What?
You
No,
know what?
he can't.
No. Those people are just visitors.
Yeah.
You should have a big disclaimer about when you enter. Dogs might snuggle with you,
Yeah.
jump in your car. The dogs do what they like.
They
If you
do.
don't like it, pack it up and get out of here.
Yeah, we're dog friendly.
Yeah.
Fridays is awesome. Lots of people bring their dogs and they're just running around. It's super fun.
And
It's how
having a
it's
good
supposed
time.
to be. Oh yeah.
But,
they are.
hey, by the way, bring your dog if your dog is behaved and likes being around other dogs. Be responsible
Yes.
on this now.
Yes, there's
Don't
children
ruin the
there.
fun for everybody else.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah,
They have
don't
to be
make
good.
Audrey demand that you leave because you don't want to do that.
I don't want to do
I would love to have Coconut go
necessary.
everywhere we go,
Yeah.
but she's deaf and she does. She gets a little freaked out by other dogs, so we don't take her
Thanks for
to
bringing that
socialize.
up. Yeah,
like
you got to be smart.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you do have a dog that needs socializing, go back and watch one of our other episodes with the dog.
Yeah, we got somebody that we can refer you to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we're coming up on time.
All right.
And so
See, I told you it goes quickly.
Goes quick.
we want to make sure that we get everything in. So we talked about Fridays on the farm. We talked about FreshFest.
Yep.
We talked about farm tours.
Yeah.
So we're diversifying. You mentioned earlier, this doesn't seem by accident. You had talked about doing a bar. You talked about doing an Airbnb. You talked about these all things seems to be things that kind of came together. Maybe not so accidentally. Maybe not so not out of design.
Yeah, you're manifesting all of those things that you wanted to do. You now are kind of bringing it all together in one place.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But it's a slog.
Now you just got to act like you planned it from the beginning, right? It was all part of the grand design.
The concept of this like community space that's outside with local food and beer and kids and dogs was definitely like a vision from the beginning. I didn't know it was going to be as hard as it was to get there.
Yeah. It sounds like the quintessential kind of Colorado place.
Yeah.
You've got hops that make beer, outdoors, dogs, camping. It's the most kind of Colorado thing I can think of.
Yeah.
And
doesn't get more Colorado.
You're killing it too with the winning awards
Yeah.
and stuff.
I gotta imagine the view too from the
Oh yeah.
from the farm is not bad.
You can see some 14ers. You know, it's not bad.
And for those of you in other states who don't know what they are,
Would-
Google
they-
it,
yeah.
and then you can come and visit.
Do we need to clarify what 14ers
I
are?
don't know. I mean, am I looking at Idaho? I don't know. Do they have 14ers? 10ers, 9ers? I don't know. Come Idaho. Honestly, all of Idaho. This is an open invitation to the entire state. Come here. You can see some real mountains. You can drink some award-winning beer made with.
We could probably fit the entire population of Idaho in the farm,
Honestly,
right?
You're all welcome. You're all welcome. I'm going to invite the governor of Idaho to come.
Idaho-
We'll pay for your ticket.
Does have some phenomenal mountains in Idaho, but that's not the point that you're trying to make right now.
Well, the point is, I'm not.
They have some silly film festival too up there in Idaho, right?
Oh, they got yeah.
Is that where it's at?
No,
they
you're
have
thinking of someone else. I think.
the largest continuous wilderness area in the
All right.
lower
Let's not
48.
go too big on Idaho.
All right. Before we let you go, I do want to ask.
It's a beautiful place. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I do want to ask.
Right?
In a previous life, you did wilderness therapy.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
What is that?
Affectionately called Hoods in the Woods. Troubled youth.
Oh, okay. All right.
That are 90% of the time forced against their will to come to outdoor therapy program where they're given uniforms and backpacks, and you live outside, and you have there's a licensed therapist that comes once a week, and then we help whatever their kind of plans are, projects for the week. We help in you sleep out of a tent, and there's you take their shoes at night so they don't run, and you do sound offs. And
Oh,
it's
wow. So we're talking about
intense.
definitely troubled youth.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very intense.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
What
Well,
was
good. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
I was thinking wilderness therapy. I was thinking like I need to be therapized in the wilderness.
Yeah, you were thinking of some hippy dippy stuff.
I was.
Yeah,
'Cause you-
yeah.
'cause you-
Nope.
you
This
make-
is
you make
like
Like
judgments.
microdosing and
almost militant.
oh no.
Get your in order.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
before we wrap up, then what's the future? 6 months, 12 months, 5 years. What are you looking to do? Are you looking to
This-
stay here? This is
This
home for at least.
summer is a big pivot year for us, and at the end of the summer we have some big decisions to make
Okay.
on which direction we want to go.
So we need Fridays at the farm to be packed. We need Southwest Fresh Fest to be packed because we need you guys to stay. Because it's a shame for our community when people who come here with ambitions and grand ideas, and they have to
And
leave
work ethic.
for various reasons. Yeah.
Work ethic.
So
That's a big part.
we can talk about supporting our community wherever you go, which is the new tagline I just came up with. But let's start at home. Like that supporting starts at home. So go to Billy Goat on Friday. Go to Pomona. Support local businesses. So we can kind of grow as a community.
Drink more beer.
Drink more beer,
Yeah.
That helps.
but not
Yeah.
too much.
In moderation.
Not too much.
Drink more in moderation.
Do-
As my
it's-
mom always says, everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Even moderation.
In moderation.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I love what you're doing. I love that you've been here for so long. I think it's a great thing for us to have. And I hope that things go well, the industry swings back, things start really cranking for you guys, because I think you're just an asset to the community. And I love you and Chris. You're great people.
Well, thank you.
And,
it's very
yeah.
sweet.
He never talks to me like that. He never does that. He must really like you guys.
Also, don't exactly talk to you. You talk to him that way either.
Bam.
Does he look like somebody that needs that kind of? I feel like I resemble the fact that I need a little support.
Yeah.
He doesn't need any like.
Let's just say Dennis travels out of town like a fair bit.
Yeah.
And I quite like it. I think me and his wife.
You like your alone
I
time?
think your wife and I are on the same page.
Yeah.
When you leave town,
You
we're both
guys
like-
need your space for me.
We need to decompress.
Dennis
from you.
space.
Yeah. Is that a new thing? Dennis space.
It's a big space.
It's a big space. He takes up a lot of it. All right.
Go on, wrap it up.
What do you mean me wrap it up? You're the one that was just doing all the
You
talking.
do the wrapping up. Let's go.
All right, guys. This has been another episode of WKRP. Audrey, thank you for coming. Oh,
Thank
wait,
you.
before we let you go, is there anybody that you want to challenge to come on the show next? Is there anybody in the community you think we should make sure that we're
Yeah.
talking to?
Yep.
Who should we be talking to?
Brittany from Uncompadre
Love
Farms.
Brittany. We'll get Brittany on for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
I sent her a text the other day because she ran into a new friend of mine in town. So I'm going to message Brittany for sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
she's
Rob.
Awesome.
Hey, Rob, look. Off. On.
Turn yourself off.
Off. Check it out.
No.
On.
Thank you,
Off.
Thanks, Clear Network.
On.
Keep it on.
Off.
People want to see the Clear
On.
Network sign
Yeah.
so they know who to support when they want really good internet.
Yeah, it's Clear Networks.
It's shameful. I don't care.
All right, you guys have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Audrey, thanks for joining us. We
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you for the beer. And
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you for the
Thank
hops.
you for the beer.
All right.